there were some amazing presentations in the room that I was facilitating, and I hope I do justice to the discussions that took place and the information that was shared. The first one was titled Nothing for Us Without Us, Themes, Challenges and Solutions, and the presenter was Damien Bonson and Jay Delaney. This presentation was really about bringing attention to how Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer people are affected by suicide. Some of the key themes or recommendations that came out of this session was that there's a lack of data around this particular group of people, in particular numbers around people who identify as LGBTQT, the relationship between suicide or attempted suicide and people's sexuality or their gender identification. And so the recommendation really was about the need for research and the need for us to get some numbers around what that looks like. Another one of the themes was there was a sense of alienation. So Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander, lesbian, gay, bisexual, queer, transgender experience a lack of understanding from other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people on specific challenges and experience that are felt by this particular part of the community, and that there's a need for us to recognise the needs in place of people who are sexuality or gender diverse. Another one was that there's a need for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander LGBTQT people to have a seat at the table, particularly around issues like suicide. And that seat at the table can't be tokenistic, it needs to be authentic. It needs to be a process where programs and services are co-designed, particularly if they're targeting this particular part of the community. And another theme recommendation was around our services, so our Aboriginal medical services, our Aboriginal run services. It's important that these services are a safe space for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, queer or transgender, that they're free of discrimination, that we're not creating an environment where people aren't safe, and that we need to build awareness and understanding within those organisations so that they're providing the right type of services and support. I hope that was it, Damien. The next presentation, and I haven't had a chance to catch up with Nola yet, so Nola, my apologies if I haven't captured everything. The presentation was Restoring the Circle, Cultural Regeneration by Nola Turner-Jensen. So what we captured from that was that there is a real need for us to reclaim culture in both a traditional sense but also in a contemporary sense, that culture has evolved in some places and we need to ensure that that's embedded in what we do. That we need to demand cultural recognition and respect, that we can no longer continue to be expected to assimilate into mainstream culture. We need to find our place and have that identified and respected. That values drive behaviour, and that there's a clear difference between the values of non-Aboriginal people and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. And it's important that we recognise those differences in order for us to be able to recognise the importance of our own culture. And that culture should be taught in schools, and it should be a part of all decision making around programs that relate to suicide prevention and postvention. Okay, the last presentation was titled Suicide Story, Culturally Safe Practice Suicide Story, presented by Jodie Kopp and Natasha Abbott. An amazing program that the two ladies talked about that's been delivered in the Northern Territory around supporting communities who have experienced suicide. The key bits, they did a great job. They even presented their own recommendations, which I thought was fantastic. And I'll go through those. Suicide prevention and intervention programs for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people must be developed by them for their use and ownership of the problem and the accompanying solutions. Our communities have answers to their problems. It is time that they were empowered to implement these solutions. Aboriginal communities and their organisations need to work together in equal partnership with each other, and governments to make the difference needed in suicide prevention. And that evidence-based programs such as this program, the Suicide Story, should be supported rather than investing in things that going through the investment process again and again, coming up with new ideas, look at the things that are working and make sure that we properly resource those. And the last recommendation, which I think I got a sense from the group was really important, that people would like to see this particular program expanded beyond the Northern Territory. The lady said that they were doing work already in an ad hoc way in other places, but it was amazing the sorts of things that were being developed that were local, that were culturally informed, and that were responding to the needs of communities, and there was a real interest in people seeing that kind of program delivered elsewhere. All right, that's mine.